We built the SaaS in just 3 days, and 72 hours after the launch it hit 1k MRR, even though it was absolutely free. In this video I'll tell you the whole story and share the secret monetization strategy that most SaaS founders forget about, but apparently it works. And in the end I'll share why building a serious SaaS might not be worth it. So the whole story has started when my co-founder sent me a tweet of Mark Liu, very famous indie hacker. He has around 300k followers on X, and in this tweet Mark suggested one app idea. He wanted to have a Minecraft game where you can only get blocks if you have a certain MRR. So if you have, for example, 1k MRR, you can prove it and get like 1000 blocks, for example, and build a house. But if you have 0 MRR, you can't do anything in this game. And honestly, I was hesitant about that idea for the first few days, because at the time I was traveling around the Asia and I was like, nah bro, we gotta build like a serious business, not a freaking stupid game. But then I noticed one guy building that game already on X, and I personally had a completely different vision on the version that he was building. Plus, when I was a kid, I was recording Minecraft videos and playing Minecraft a lot, so I decided why not give it a shot. So I locked myself in a small Thailand village and managed to build this whole game in just 3 days.
Cool thing about Asia and Thailand in particular is that this coffee shop where I'm at right now was closed like 2 hours ago, but they didn't close the doors or kick people out. No, they just closed the kitchen and went home. And I can stay and work here for how long I want. I don't have to leave, and I can just enjoy this like beautiful view and work from there for how long I want. This is absolutely crazy.
Even though I have never built web-based games before, but now with AI you can do pretty crazy things. So honestly I was surprised by how good AI was in terms of building game, its physics. It took a bunch of iterations and prompts of course, but I had no idea how 3GS works and still managed to get this game live in just 72 hours. Initial thought was to make a single player game, but then I realized that if you want to make game viral, you gotta have a multiplayer there. Because building a house is nice, but you always want to share what you're building with other players, other people, and multiplayer support is what can actually make this game go kind of viral. Since I was traveling and working 9 to 5, it was kind of hard combining work-life travel balance, so I slept much less than usual and got game into production state on day 3. I tested it a lot, and even though it's like a game with a lot of edge cases and actual physics, I was pretty proud of the final result, and it was time to finally launch it. And by the way, the game was absolutely free, so if you're curious like how the hell we managed to make 1k MRR from it, stick around. So yeah, we made a few videos about the game and posted the very first launch tweet on X. Introducing MRR City, where you can just connect your Stripe, get in-game coins based on your actual MRR. Using those in-game coins, you can buy any plot on the server. By the way, this is a multiplayer game. For example, let's buy this plot. Boom, now I own it. As an owner, I can write any text on the sign here, for example, to promote my own website or my own SaaS, let's say test.com. Boom, now our text is visible to all users. I can also buy some blocks. Let's, for example, buy some glass and send. Now I can go to my house that I own, post a block, place some blocks here, or for example, go up to the roof of my house. There are 100 plots on the server, and the further from the spawn, the less MRR you need to buy the plot and build your own house. You can join us at mrrcity.io for free and build your dream house, first of all in the game and later on in real life. And 5 minutes later, nobody joined the server. It was empty. 10 minutes later, it was empty. And after 20 minutes, the first person has joined. But this person stayed on the server for like 3 minutes and left without even telling why. And that's when we realized that we needed chat in the game, because we gotta collect feedback, bugs, and just let people communicate with each other and be able to communicate with them. So I vibe coded like crazy, and in just 5 minutes, I launched a chat feature on the server so people can actually talk with each other. After that, another person has joined, so we were able to say hi to him, and that already made this person to stay for a little bit longer because he was simply able to chat with us, ask some questions, and keep the communication going. But then something unexpected has happened. The tweet started to get the first traction, and more people were joining the server, but this one thing changed everything. One of the most famous indie hackers from the last year, Rob, who managed to scale his SaaS to 30k MRR, has joined the server, connected his API keys, and bought the house using his MRR tokens right near the spawn. By the way, quick context, in our game you were not able to place blocks anywhere. You had to connect your payment provider API keys so we can verify that you actually made some MRR and give you the tokens based on your MRR. And then using these tokens you can buy blocks and you can buy land. And you can only place blocks on your own land. And the most expensive land was closer to the spawn, but further and further away from the spawn it was less and less expensive. And since Rob had 30k MRR at the time, he managed to buy the most expensive house, bunch of blocks, and build something huge. But he made some tweets about the game, started engaging with our tweets, and that increased the hype around the game, and more people started to join it. Then another guy, the owner of Posties, who had 30k MRR at the time, by the way, he now has almost 100k MRR, also joined the server, also bought the most expensive house, and started to promote his own startup, but also engage with other people, and the game was useful for both sides. Big startup founders were able to promote their startups to a bunch of people who were joining the server, and regular people who didn't have huge startups, they were able to chat and play together with huge startup founders, ask them something, and just be close to that whole hype and other cool founders. And since initially the hype wasn't that big, I kind of went for a quick walk and massage in that small Thailand village, but then this whole hype has started, and even though I was on the massage, I pulled up my laptop, started like coding like crazy, fixing bugs, adding features that people were asking about, and by the end of the massage, my friends asked me, how was your foot massage? I said, I have no idea. I was thinking about the game. Then some people like Org the Dev started streaming the game, collaborating with other people, building houses. So game started to grow even without our involvement. And from there, I went on 24/7 grind for the next 3 days to keep constantly improving the game, adding more features. I added the free land where you can just go mine some blocks, destroy any blocks. I added the PvP so people can fight with each other. I fixed hundreds of different bugs, issues. Me and my co-founder, we kept posting on X about the game, how people use it to kind of keep the hype. But you're probably wondering, Andrew, how the hell did you make some money from it? So yeah, by the end of day one, when we started getting some traction, the most obvious monetization strategy for the game was not to charge people to play, because that would have killed the server. Nobody would like to pay to play a vibe-coded in 3 days game. But we were getting a bunch of traffic on the website, so we added some sponsor slots. The very first sponsor was Cream, and by the way, I use Cream myself in all of my startups, so it was very nice of them to become our first sponsor. Then after every next sponsor, we were increasing the price. We placed our sponsors on the escape menu and on the columns on the spawn. So every user who was joining the server was seeing our sponsors. They also got a bunch of traffic to their websites. For one of our sponsors, the sponsorship paid off in like day one from the sales that he was getting. And with those sponsorships, we reached 1k MRR pretty quickly. And from there, we had essentially two choices: keep growing the game, trying to hype it up, improve it, and turn it into something bigger, or kind of just switch the focus. Since we didn't believe in this game like long term and didn't have any cool ideas on how we can grow it to something that can reach 10k MRR and something that we can even potentially sell later, we decided to keep up the game, ship a few new features, fix some bugs, but after the time the hype started to go down, so we kind of just stopped promoting it and it slowly went down. It was a super fun experiment, but that's not something that fits our long-term goals, so we decided to stop putting our mental focus into this game. But this thing taught us a lot of things. First of all, you actually never know what can go viral and what product can work. For example, Trust MRR, I was making a video about that project a few months ago. This project started also from a small tweet where the idea was to build a website where you can prove your MRR, because a bunch of people post fake MRR screenshots on X. So Mark built it, it gained the hype, it also reached good MRR with sponsors, but over time he managed to turn it into long-term business by creating a startup selling marketplace. And now it's his biggest business. So the lesson is never be scared of building something for fun as a joke, because it can potentially turn into a huge business. And even if it won't, you can make some money with it, learn something new, increase your following by hyping on that thing, and over time turn this traffic and attention into an actual serious business. For example, I had really big hopes with our first SaaS this year, Big Clips, but it made just $27 in sales. While this game that I built as a joke that didn't even have any payments in the first place made over $1,000. And that was my first SaaS that hit 1k MRR, so I kind of got that achievement. Now the next goal is of course to build the business that will hit 1k MRR, will stay on 1k MRR, and will go from there. But that's essentially what I'm working on right now with my newest startup. And yeah, I'm incredibly happy and proud that we managed to build something that crazy, that hypey, and something that actually made really good sales. But we are just getting started. Now it's time to build something that will hit 1k, 3k, 5k, and even 10k MRR. Let's get back to work. I document my SaaS journey on this channel, so follow and see you in the next ones.